On December 16th or 17th, depending on where you're at on the globe, Saturn will be moving into Aquarius, which means that those of you with Saturn in Aquarius will be beginning your Saturn return. So first, let's talk about what a Saturn return is. Saturn is a generational planet. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto all move very slowly. Saturn having about a 29-year orbit, and Pluto having like a 250 some odd year orbit. Fun fact, the country of the United States of America is going through its Pluto return right now. Humans don't have Pluto returns because, well, at this point in time, we don't live to be 250 some odd years old. However, most of us, certainly not all of us, but most of us are lucky to make it to about 29 years of life. And so that's when Saturn will return to the sign it was in when you were born. Now, usually it starts around maybe age 27 to 30, depending on what degree your Saturn is at. But basically what happens is Saturn puts up a mirror to your life and forces you to look at it. Look at all your choices, look at everything you've done. You're looking in that mirror like with that Clockwork Orange machine that like forces your eyes open, right? You can't look away from it, you can't distract yourself, you can't turn away. You have to deal with the life that you have in front of you, and you have to deal with the fact that there are going to be some changes that you need to make because there's some foundations that you've built that are faulty. You know, they're going to fall apart, right? They're building a house next door to me right now, so I'm watching as they build the foundations and thinking about, well, like, yeah, that's what Saturn wants you to do. Build strong foundations. So that you can build the rest of your life upon it and not have things fall down later in life. So Saturn returns can be very challenging because for maybe the first time ever, you're sitting down and thinking like, oh, maybe I don't want to be friends with somebody like that because that's not going to be good for my mental health, or they take advantage of me, or, you know, I need to learn a lesson about attachment or detachment, whatever it might be. But this happens in all areas and aspects of your life. So if you have Saturn in Capricorn, like me, your Saturn return, your first Saturn return, maybe your second Saturn return, is officially over. Yay, we made it, we survived. I'm wearing black to acknowledge the death of my first Saturn return, and I'm very pleased with it. I mean, my Saturn return personally was wonderful. It was hard. But I was ready to roll up my sleeves and get into it. But for those of you with Saturn in Aquarius, it's time to start gearing up and getting ready for how this is going to affect you. So first and foremost, what you want to find out is what degree your Saturn is at. And honestly, for anyone watching this video, no matter what Saturn placement you have, it's good to know what degree your Saturn is at, because the degrees tell us about the aspects, and the aspects tell us about how these things will actually affect our lives. So, for instance, mine is Saturn in Capricorn at 26 degrees in the 12th house. So Saturn has been moving through my 12th house, and in fact, it's still going to be in my 12th house for a couple more years. I think 2022, around February 2022, is when it will officially move into my first house. Yay! The 12th house is dark, so if you have a 12th house Saturn as well, it's dark, but the purpose is, Fox Sterner, aka @HoundSister on Instagram, recently was talking about darkness, and one of my favorite images she mentioned was the planting of a seed, putting it into soil. That's what the 12th house is, putting that seed into the soil. But yeah, you got to know what degree it's at and what house it's in. So for anyone with a first house Saturn, you're dealing with your connection to yourself and your identity. Who are you? Who do you show up as? Are you original? Are you just copying other people? These are some of the bigger questions you'll be asking. Second house stuff has to do with money and security, what we find worthy and valuable, definitely working on our own self-worth as well. Third house stuff is going to be about our mind and the information that we like to take in and how we communicate with people. Fourth house is family stuff, family issues, mama drama. I mean that specifically with your mother, but also just anyone's mother and mothers in general, and maybe being a mother, like nurturing other people, taking care of other people, old family wounds, childhood wounds, skeletons in the closet. Fourth house can be a little tricky. Fourth house can definitely be a little tricky. But lots of beautiful growth available in every house. The fifth house has to do with vices and pleasure, sex, children, fun, recreation. Ultimately not a bad house, but I can definitely see Saturn coming in and being like, yeah, you're gonna drink wine again tonight? Yeah, okay, it's Wednesday. Yeah, you did it on Monday and Tuesday too. How do you feel about that? That's how Saturn works. Sixth house is about health and wellness, habits, routines, our relationship to work. So that's what's going to come into question if you have a sixth house Saturn. Seventh house is about partnerships, business partnerships, marriage partnerships, and the kind of people that we seek out, that will have a good connection and energy to us. So romantic relationships and friendships can fall under that, but the seventh house is a little bit more serious than just someone you're dating, right? It's about looking for lifelong partners, whether that's marriage or business or any other kind of partnership that you may find yourself in. Eighth house has to do with transformation, has to do with sex, death, life, taxes, inheritance, other people's money, magic, manifestation, and spiritual sensitivity. So it's a wide berth for the eighth house. Ninth house is spirituality, religion, psychology, philosophy, world travel, big stuff, expanding your world. So Saturn usually likes to contract, but Saturn's going to come in and is like, oh yeah, you've been staying real small recently. How do you feel about that? Does that feel good? Is that where you want to be? Or do you want to pack up everything and go live in Australia for a year? How's that sound? Maybe we should go do that. In the 10th house, it has to do with career and public appearance, how we present ourselves to the world or how we're perceived by other people. So your reaction and your actions and reactions with the world, as well as your relationship to your career, is going to change a lot. 11th house stuff is friendships and communities. 12th house stuff is secrets, past lives, spirits, and metaphorical death. It's the 12th house, the planting of the seed, the metaphorical death, the caterpillar going into the chrysalis, right? So wherever your Saturn is, that's in one of those houses, that's how it's going to affect you. So that's specifically, to help prepare you guys, Aquarians, you guys Saturn and Aquarius people. But for those of you who maybe are just learning about Saturn returns and your Saturn is in Capricorn, you can now reflect on that. Or Sagittarius, you can reflect on it. Anyone that is already passed, you can reflect upon the lessons that you learned at that time. And for those of you with Pisces or Aries or Taurus Saturns, just a little bit of a clue into what's going to happen. Now, specifically, Saturn is going to be in Aquarius for a little bit over 2 years. So where is Aquarius in your chart? Now, the thing is, we have all 12 signs in our chart. We are all 12 signs. Like for instance, I have my 4th and 5th houses are ruled by Gemini. Do I have any placements there? No, but that Gemini energy is still in my life and in my chart because Gemini is the ruler of the parts of my life that are the 4th and 5th house, which is relationship to family, home, early childhood, 4th house, and relationship to pleasure and fun and sex and children, 5th house. So both of those have Gemini influence because Gemini is the ruler. So even if you don't have any placements in Aquarius, it still exists somewhere in your chart. It might actually not even rule anything. It's possible. Those are called intercepted signs. I would suggest you go to astro-charts.com, astro-charts.com, to look at your chart. On the outer wheel is where they have all the signs, and so it's very easy to see and find, oh, there's Aquarius. So right at the very start of Aquarius, that 0 degree, that is where Saturn is right now on your chart. It's how it's interacting with you. So I don't have anything directly on the 0 degree of Aquarius in my chart. My North Node's pretty close to it though, so they're gonna be hanging out for a little bit. But yeah, Saturn is right now in my 12th house. And by March 2023, when it moves into Pisces, it will be in my 1st house because Aquarius is my 1st house ruler and it straddles the 12th and the 1st house in the Placidus system, which is what I prefer. There's also a whole house system that I know people like to use. And I know there's even other ones that I haven't really studied or learned too much about yet. I enjoy the Placidus. I do. Yeah, so Saturn is going to be moving through my 12th house, but also is going to be hitting my Venus placement. My Venus is at 6 degrees Aquarius. So even though my Saturn return is over, Saturn still moves through my chart, and it's going to be moving through my 12th house, and it's going to be hitting my Venus Aquarius at 6 degrees, and it's going to hold up a mirror and is like, how's your relationship right now? Are you making any art? How's your relationship to money? How are things going? Yeah? Should we maybe get a little bit more serious about all those things? And then it will hit my first house, it'll hit my ascendant, and then what it'll be asking me then is like, yeah, is that how you're gonna dress? Is that how you're gonna do your hair? How do you really wanna be showing up right now? Who are you, right? Like it'll be doing that. It'll be doing that as it moves through Aquarius in my chart. So what do you have in Aquarius? Now, as it moves, right now it's at the 0 degree, but as it moves, it's going to be interacting with other planets in placements in our chart aside from the ones that we have in Aquarius. So anything in Leo will be creating an opposition. It'll be really far away from Leo, and so there's some decisions to be made with those placements. But also you can just think about the energy is really far away. Like Saturn's really far away, so you might be making some silly decisions with your Leo placements. I have a Leo Jupiter, 10 degrees, I want to say, Leo Jupiter in the 6th house, yeah. And so might make some silly leaps of faith or something there because Jupiter's expansion. Anything in Scorpio or Taurus will be creating a square aspect as Saturn moves through Aquarius, and squares are like, you can think of squaring up. They're gonna be fighting with one another. So I have a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio Pluto, and I have a Taurus Mars, and so it's going to eventually create squares with all those aspects, with all those placements, and they're going to get in fights with one another. So Saturn's going to get in a fight with Planet of Transformation. Daddy Saturn's going to get in a fight with my emotions. It's going to get in a fight with my aggression, which squares, their fights, it might seem like that's not good, but sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's really helpful. I can definitely see Saturn and Mars squaring off and creating something pretty dope. So, which won't happen for a while because my Mars is at 28 degrees. But anyway, air sign stuff. Any Libra or Gemini placements you have will very easily, you'll be able to create commitments and solid foundations with those placements. So say you have like Libra Mercury, you're just going to take like your education or, you know, public speaking or just communicating in general, maybe wanting to learn about how to, learning about nonviolent communication or something. The energy is going to flow really easily with air signs. Anything in Virgo or Cancer will be uncomfortable shifts. So I've got some Cancer stuff, uncomfortable shifts that force you to release stale energy. And it can be kind of harsh because it is Saturn. And then any Pisces or Capricorn stuff, it will be interacting with those, but on a very lesser degree. And then, Sagittarius and what else am I missing? Sagittarius and Gemini? No, Sagittarius and Aries are the other things that we'll be interacting with. Everything that you have in Sagittarius or Aries. So for instance, my Sagittarius Mercury is at 26 degrees. So when Saturn in Aquarius reaches the 26th degree, it'll be creating a sextile, which means there's 60 degrees between them. A perfect sextile, and sextiles are good opportunities, especially when it's an air sign like Aquarius and a fire sign like Sagittarius. An opportunity will fall into my lap. It's probably going to have to do with a speaking opportunity, having to do with my career because my Mercury is very close to my 10th house. Taking the way I show up and speak, to the world, to my audience more seriously, but like an opportunity is going to fall into my lap. So if you have any Sagittarius or Aries placements, whatever degree it's at, once Aquarius reaches that degree, expect an opportunity to fall into your lap. So there you go. I think I've said everything I need to say about the Saturn moving into Aquarius. For all of us with Saturn in Capricorn, yay, we're done. And all of you guys with Saturn in Aquarius, enjoy the ride. It's bumpy, but it is for your benefit.